The new 2023 Audi S3 certainly has a lot going for it. A 306 horsepower turbocharged engine, 0 to 60 sprints in under 4.5 seconds, all wrapped up in the typically excellent modern Audi exterior design language. Spoiler alert, yeah, it's pretty good, but there's more to talk about than just that, so let's hit the road and talk about it. Let's start with the basics. The S3 is the sportier version of the A3, Audi's smallest sedan they sell in the United States. It has a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that produces 306 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque and sends power to all 4 wheels via a 7-speed S-Tronic dual-clutch automatic transmission. If that combination sounds at all familiar to regular viewers of the channel, it absolutely should, because the S3 is mechanically quite similar to the VW Golf R that I reviewed not too long ago. Of course, it is wrapped in the finest German-tailored Audi suit. The S3 is a very handsome-looking entry-level luxury sedan. This thing really doesn't have any bad angles on it, which is something you can't say about a BMW M235i Gran Coupe these days, now can you? Even the Mercedes-AMG CLA35 doesn't look this good, at least in my opinion. Audi as a brand has been absolutely killing it when it comes to vehicle design for the past, well, 15 years now. Ever since the B7, A4, S4, and RS4 came out along with the original R8 supercar, the brand has just taken that look and fine-tuned it into an entire lineup, really, of gorgeous-looking vehicles, and the S3 is no exception, with the more aggressive bumpers compared to an A3, and these optional 19-inch wheels, part of the black Optics package, which gives you all the black trim on the exterior. This thing is very, very handsome. And fortunately, the interior follows suit in the typical Audi fashion. It's sort of a black and silver monochromatic type look that's very on brand for them these days, but it definitely feels luxe. It's funny, having just gotten out of the Golf R and indeed the Jetta GLI, seeing a few common Volkswagen isms in the interior, but just dressed up with a nicer Audi finish. There are little things like the center console, for example, that are similar to what you'd find in those vehicles, but they just have nicer surfaces on them. And that's really a common theme throughout the entirety of the interior. Thanks to an optional Nappa Leather package, we have extended leather throughout the interior, and we have these gorgeous bucket seats. The whole fit, finish, and feel of this interior is top-notch. But the way that Audi really delineates themselves from their Volkswagen brothers and sisters is with the tech stack. Now sure, the S3 has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, and in this case, wireless phone charging, and those are features you can get in those other vehicles too. But it's the stuff you interact with that does feel much more special. This S3 has the optional tech pack. It'll set you back just over $2,000. It's worth every penny in my opinion. You get Bang & Olufsen premium audio, which sounds fantastic, but you also get Virtual Cockpit Plus. It's this 12-inch driver display here, fully digital, configurable, gorgeous, great to use, makes the experience feel so much more upscale. It's a similar system you'd find in other Audi products, and the S3 is all the better for having it. But the big advantage you get over buying a less expensive Golf R is actually with MMI, the multimedia interface. It's their infotainment display. While Volkswagen is insistent on using these frustrating capacitive touch buttons and clunky touchscreens, MMI uses a mixture of a much more responsive touchscreen and hard-coded buttons. The system is very simple, intuitive, and easy to use. And trust me, after a while, you're gonna be happy you paid the price premium over Golf R just for not having to use their god-awful infotainment screen. It really is that bad. Besides the stronger fit, finish, feel, and tech you get in the Audi, let's cover some basics. The modern 3, the A3, S3, and indeed the insane RS3 are all a pretty agreeable size for an entry-level Audi sedan. At 6'1", with the driver's seat in my seating position, I can sit behind myself and have a few inches of knee room to spare, which is a nice thing to have and less common than you might think in this segment. Trunk space, likewise, is pretty agreeable in this sedan form factor, though perhaps down slightly when it comes to utility compared to the Golf R's hatchback shape. Oh, hi there. It's your boy, just checking in. Are you enjoying the video so far? Well, of course you are. That's because this is some grade A primo content we're talking about. So go ahead and show your support by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. It's free and helps the channel. All right, back to the video. I have to get back to the dynamics here because that's really why you buy an S3 over the regular A3 for about 10 grand less, apples to apples. This powertrain, once you get it up and going, is a real joy. But it's worth noting that you do have to get this thing up and going before it really gets up and goes, if you follow my drift. Because this has the same EA888 engine you find in the A3, just with a larger turbocharger, there is more turbo lag in the S3 compared to an A3. Peak torque comes in at 3,000 RPM, and for all intents and purposes, that's really where any of the power begins to come in. Red line is 6.5, as does seem to be the way for this engine. It's not a really revvy engine, but you want to keep it in the upper half of that rev range to really make the most of it. Once you're up there, you're going to be absolutely flying. And with the quick gearing of the 7-speed S-Tronic transmission, it's easy to keep the S3 up there for the most part. That said, if you don't use the shift paddles and you leave this transmission in full automatic, even if you turn it into the most aggressive dynamic mode, at low speeds, this transmission can be a bit fussy. Because this engine does have some turbo lag, you need to keep the revs up a bit if you want to really accelerate in any meaningful fashion. And so there are instances where the transmission will want to optimize fuel efficiency and lock it into a high gear and keep you at like 1500 revs. And if you need the power, sometimes it just refuses to downshift. And I don't quite know why. I find that very frustrating. I'm sure an aftermarket ECU tune with a trans flash would solve all that, but out of the box, that is kind of annoying. It's happened a few times where I've mashed the gas and the transmission just won't downshift. I don't quite get why. This is also the part where I have to complain about, well, the exhaust note or complete lack of it. There is the occasional little pop or burble you get from the exhaust, but it's so hard to come by. You can't really time it with any sort of rhythm or certainty. It's only happened maybe 3 or 4 times the whole week I've been driving this car. When it makes that little bit of noise, it does sound quite nice. But for the most part, this is a pretty quiet car. It's almost like a ninja, very stealthy. On the flip side, if you do turn it into dynamic mode or put it into individual mode and configure it as such, the S3, like a lot of high-performance Volkswagen Group products, has a sound actor. That is the firewall-mounted speaker that plays a sort of resonant hum designed to give you an enhanced engine note. And at low speed and around towns, it's fine, but a common problem that seems to affect a lot of vehicles that have the sound actor is that it eventually begins to vibrate and rattle against the dash. That's why if you Google it, you'll find a lot of Volkswagen enthusiasts actually remove them from the car for that exact reason. So, yeah, I guess along with the ECU tune I'm going to recommend, I also recommend an aftermarket exhaust upgrade as pretty much required materials here. Though, being a modern VAG product, that's going to be no problem because the aftermarket support for the S3 is going to be absolutely enormous. One thing I really do like is that if you tick the box for the S Sport package, not only do you get those flashy big red brakes, you also get adaptive dampers. They give the S3 so much adhesion to the pavement. It is unbelievable, actually. This thing's only on a 235 section with tire, but man, it has so much grip. It's very, very enjoyable indeed. That compliance is not only appreciated on a winding road like this one, but it is great for day-to-day driving because it just irons out the bumps. Even on this tester with the optional 19-inch wheels and rubber band thin sidewalls, this thing rides great. I would say that overall I find myself very impressed with the S3, and the more I see it every day and live with it and drive it, the more I really do enjoy it. But we need to break down the numbers a bit more. The base price is right around 45 grand. Our tester, if you couldn't already tell, has a bunch of options thrown at it and rings in at 55 grand. The VW Golf R I've been referencing throughout this review is 45 grand fully loaded. And if you aren't dead set on the nicer experience offered by the S3, if you just care about, the more sporting side of things, the Golf R is really hard to beat. Also, for diehards like me, the Golf R has the option of a 6-speed stick, which is the way I would go, because I find that to be more fun. As excellent as this experience is for 55 grand, I'd actually choose this over a comparably equipped BMW M235i Gran Coupe, or indeed even the Mercedes-AMG CLA35. This is also knocking on the door of the base price of the $59,995 RS3, which is the even more insane version of this vehicle. It gets a 400 plus horsepower, 2.5 liter turbocharged inline 5. It looks more aggressive, it sounds more aggressive, it drives more aggressive. And if you're a hardcore driving enthusiast like me, well, I think that's kind of the way I'd go. I'd save a few more pennies or add on the extra to the monthly payment and just go with that. Because, man, I'm really impressed by the S3, but I just want a bit more from this experience when I know with the RS3 that it's there for the taking. Well, this just leaves me wanting to try the RS3 that much more, which I guess is a great upsell for Audi in the end. So you're welcome, guys. If you'd like the VW Golf R experience in a more refined and finely tailored suit and with handsome looks to match, check out the S3. It's a really impressive ride. But for now, I'll keep dreaming about the day I get to drive the RS3 up here and see just how much more insane that car really is. All right, guys, that's all I got for this one. My name is Jake. You've been watching Drive, Brake, Fix, Repeat, and I'll see you guys next time. We're going to do more fun things with cars. Bye.